Welcome back to another completely useless video, or if you're new, welcome to 6 of the most useless minutes of your life. We've made our perfect batter and our perfect bowler. I guess it only makes sense to go for the other discipline and build our perfect fielder. We're going to split this into physical attributes, which are things you'd expect all good athletes to have regardless of their sport, and cricket-specific ones. Like the other perfect players, we're only going to take one player per category, and given that we are the best bowler, we will want to be an outfielder, so we'll mostly be taking outfielder attributes. We'll start with catching. We ideally want a player who has never dropped a catch in their life, but also one who goes for the tough opportunities. There's many options to go for. I'm just going to go for a quite safe pick, one that shouldn't be too controversial. AB de Villiers. He snaffles anything remotely in his direction. On to throwing accuracy. We're going with undoubtedly the most obscure player in this video, Colin Bland. Now, there are some absolutely insane cricket fans out there, myself included, but somehow there are crazier people than even me. Some people go to the ground to watch teams like India during their practice sessions nowadays. But imagine people doing the same for a Zimbabwean in the 1960s. Specifically to watch him practice fielding. That's how awe-inspiring Bland's fielding was. He spent countless hours throwing at a single stump, and eventually got to the level where he'd hit more than he'd miss. The other aspect of throwing is power. Bland not only had an accurate throw, but a powerful one too, but we can't pick him again. Another obscure player I was thinking of putting in was Keith Boyce. When we talk about bullet arms, Boyce takes that quite literally, with some of the flattest throws ever, absolutely cannoning into the keeper's gloves. However, I'm going with a far more well-known player, Andrew Symonds. A lot of you might remember him, or at least seen clips of him absolutely catapulting the ball in. Combine that with Bland's accuracy, and the run-out is always on. But if we want to be even more efficient with run-outs, we need clean pickups. There's no point having a player who fumbles a lot. There's not much else I can say here, aside from maybe mentioning a few who came close. I'm going with Paul Collingwood. He had great technique, hardly ever made a misfield. So, nobody's taking a run if the ball goes remotely close to our fielder, but just to make ultra sure, let's take Ricky Ponting's anticipation. It's quite an underappreciated skill in fielding, as it's very difficult to spot, but just being able to take a step or move your body weight in the right direction as you're watching the batter's movements, that can give you a split-second advantage that's needed in cricket. And are there any better than Ponting at this skill? I don't think so. And now, one of the few categories where I'm taking a wicketkeeper. Wicket-keeping. Given that you'd probably not want your best bowler to keep, this isn't necessary, but just for completeness we'll add it. Now, I could make an entire video on the best keeper's attributes, but for now, let's just stick with overall. There are a lot of older names I could go to: Les Ames, Godfrey Evans, Bob Taylor, Alan Knott, Jack Russell from England, Jack Blackham, Don Talon, Wally Grout, and many others from Australia, and I'll refrain from listing out honourable mentions from other countries. But the two best keepers I've ever seen are actually quite modern. For me, it's between Sarah Taylor, who was immaculate behind the stumps, and Prasanna Jayawardene, who kept a Murli in Sri Lanka like it was child's play. Genuinely, it's a toss-up between these two, but I think I'll go with Sarah Taylor. Nice to know our fielder can don the gloves in case of emergency. On to the more physical side of things, starting with reactions. Few people say that there was a better slip catcher than Mark Waugh, and I agree. If the ball is carrying, then our guy is catching. On to speed. For our batters, we had Glenn Phillips and David Warner, so it makes sense we choose one of them. It has to be Glenn Phillips, doesn't it? He's genuinely like a falcon over short distances. Just rapid. For agility, well, if you don't consider Phillips to be the best fielder right now, chances are it's this guy, Ravindra Jadeja. And on to acrobatics, we want someone who can dive around endlessly. and given that we've already used Phillips and Jadeja, it could only be one man right. Jonty Rhodes. Similar to Colin Bland, actually, in that they could both save around 20 runs a game from their fielding, and because of this, it's often forgotten that they were decent batters too. On to the leap. The best thing to do here is ask which cricketer would have made the best basketball player. And this feels like an easy answer. Kieron Pollard. A tall man with big bucket hands and a tremendous vertical. I don't need to tell you how many times he just plucked a certain six out of the air. And finally, we need to ensure that even if we're fielding for 150 overs in the beating sun, we can maintain this level of ability. So, for our stamina, I'm going to take Faf du Plessis. As an all-round fielder, that's slips, ring and boundary, he can make a good claim to being the very best. He was unlucky to miss out on a few of the other categories, but he does make the video in the end. Someone please send this to him, I'm sure that will make his day. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, or if you didn't, hopefully you at least managed to kill a few minutes and think about cricket for a bit. Feel free to leave your own thoughts in the comments, and feel free to subscribe if you never want to miss a useless video. Bye all!